Imagine for a second that you have, won the ultimate game of life.
Right.
Like, you haven't just succeeded. You have conquered literally everything there is to conquer.
Yeah, you're at the very top.
Exactly. Your wealth is infinite, your people absolutely adore you, and your power is so absolute that you've literally evicted the gods from the heavens.
Which is no small thing.
Right. You're sitting at the very peak of existence, and then this barefoot child walks up to you, asks for 3 seemingly insignificant steps of dirt, and in the blink of an eye, you lose your entire empire.
I mean, it sounds like the ultimate defeat, just a complete and utter tragic fall from grace.
It really does. But the crazy thing is, losing everything didn't make this king a failure. It actually made him eternal.
Yeah, it completely flipped the script.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because I'm wondering, how does a ruler who has it all lose it in a single moment, yet somehow become greater because of it?
It's a massive paradox.
It is. And to answer that, we are doing a deep dive into a really fascinating stack of sources today. We're looking at ancient Sanskrit texts, specifically the Bhagavata Purana, alongside centuries of vibrant regional folklore from the Indian state of Kerala.
Yeah, we are stepping into a really ancient, breathtaking narrative universe today.
For sure.
This is a space where the boundary between the mortal and the divine is, paper thin. It shimmers like heat over desert sand.
I love that imagery.
Right. We're looking at the legend of King Mahabali and the Vaman avatar of Lord Vishnu. And while it plays out as this epic story of ambition and cosmic strategy, at its core, it's really the ultimate test of the human ego.
So to understand how a single king could threaten the balance of the entire universe, I think we first need to look at his resume. Because, surprisingly, the texts do not paint King Mahabali as some, typical villain plotting evil in a dark tower.
No, not at all. He's actually born into the lineage of the Asuras.
Right.
Now, Asura is often translated in English as demon, but that's a massive oversimplification.
Yeah, it's not quite that black and white.
Exactly. In this context, Asuras are more like anti-gods. They're these formidable beings driven by immense power, passion, and, ambition. They are the cosmic rivals of the Dev, the gods.
But Mahabali has some interesting family history, right?
He does. His own grandfather was Prahlad, who was one of the greatest devotees of Lord Vishnu. So Bali inherits incredible physical strength, but also profound wisdom and just unmatched generosity.
And the sources describe the earth under his rule in these incredibly vivid utopian terms.
Oh, it's paradise.
It really is. We're talking about rivers flowing like streams of silver, fields just heavy with grain, palaces carved from marble and gold with domes that dare the heavens.
Right. There's no theft, no deceit.
None of it. No suffering, only songs of abundance. By all accounts, the guy is a phenomenal administrator.
He really is. He creates a paradise. But there's this one line in the Purana that sets the stage for the conflict.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
It essentially says that, like a flame burning brighter with every gust of wind, his ambition grew with every conquest.
Which makes sense for someone in his position.
Totally. He looks up at the heavens and asks a very logical question for an ambitious mind. He basically says, why should prosperity be confined to one realm? Why should the divas alone rule the skies?
I was reading this and thinking, King Mahabali is like a highly successful visionary CEO.
That is a great comparison.
Right. He's built this utopian company, his employees love him, the profits are off the charts. And then he looks at a rival corporation in the heavens and decides to execute a hostile takeover.
Just because he can.
Exactly. Not out of pure malice, but just because he has the capital and the drive to do it. So he launches a massive campaign, his army moves like a storming ocean, and he actually conquers Amaravati, the capital city of the gods.
He literally evicts them.
But wait, this is my big question here. If the gods have all these cosmic divine weapons, why are they completely powerless to stop him?
Well, the mechanics of that powerlessness are so fascinating. Indra, the king of the gods, and all the celestial guardians find that their weapons simply falter.
Just bounce right off.
Basically, because the universe in these texts operates on dharma.
Right, the cosmic order.
Exactly. Cosmic order, righteousness, and truth. Bali isn't a tyrant breaking the rules. He is a just king driven by righteousness, albeit combined with immense pride.
Oh, I see.
So he's a noble enemy.
And a noble enemy is like the hardest kind of fight. You can't just smite someone who is technically doing a great job.
Right. You cannot defeat him through brute force because he possesses tremendous moral authority. His dharma acts as a shield.
Wow.
So the gods are left homeless, wandering the cosmos like shadows. The universe is tilting into chaos, and the divas realize they simply cannot punch their way out of this problem.
Okay, so if moral authority makes Bali invincible to physical weapons, how do you defeat an enemy you aren't allowed to strike?
That's the big dilemma.
Right, so the gods travel far beyond the heavens to Vaikuntha, the eternal realm of Lord Vishnu, the preserver of the universe.
The visual here in the text is incredible.
It really is. Vishnu is resting calmly on the cosmic serpent, Ananta, with goddess Lakshmi beside him. The gods show up, humiliated, and essentially beg Vishnu to destroy Bali.
And Vishnu listens, but his response is incredibly telling.
What does he say?
Well, he acknowledges Bali's greatness. He points out that Bali's devotion, courage, and generosity are rare, even among gods.
So he respects him.
Deeply, Vishnu explicitly refuses to destroy him. He tells the Devas the greatest challenges are not solved through destruction, but through wisdom.
Right. Which leads to Vishnu laying out his master plan. And I have to admit, when I first read this part of the source material, I was completely baffled.
It sounds absurd at first.
It really does. Vishnu decides he's going to use Bali's greatest virtue, his boundless generosity, against him. So Vishnu incarnates as his fifth avatar, Vaman.
Right.
He's born as this radiant but very small, humble, dwarf Brahmin boy. He's barefoot. He's carrying a wooden umbrella and a little water pot.
That is the grand cosmic strategy.
Yeah. You have a warlord who just defeated the sun, the wind, and the king of the gods, and you send a tiny barefoot boy with an umbrella to face him.
I mean, on the surface, it sounds completely ridiculous, but it reveals a really profound psychological strategy.
How so?
Vishnu knows a critical detail about Bali's character. Bali has made a solemn vow never to refuse a righteous request from anyone who approaches him.
Ah, so it's a trap.
Sort of. Vishnu isn't bringing an army because an army would just feed Bali's ego and trigger a war. He's bringing a mirror to Bali's own character.
That's brilliant.
Vaman's small form is deeply deceptive. As Vishnu tells the gods, sometimes the smallest step can measure the universe.
Wow. Okay, so that brings us right to the confrontation. Bali is hosting this massive, grand, sacrificial ritual, a yajna.
A huge event.
Yeah, the sacred fires are blazing, kings and celestial beings are gathered from across realms. Bali is at the absolute height of his power, and he makes this sweeping public declaration that absolutely no seeker will leave his yajna empty-handed.
He's positioning himself as the ultimate provider, the undisputed sovereign of all realms.
Exactly. And out of this massive crowd, the small figure of Vaman steps forward. The text says his steps were soft, but they echoed across the fabric of the universe.
Even the sacred fire and the winds seem to bow to him.
Yeah. So Bali welcomes the boy with immense respect and basically says, ask for anything.
And Vaman makes his seemingly pitiful request. He says, I ask only for as much land as I can cover in 3 paces.
Which has to be a joke to someone like Bali. I mean,
Yeah.
the guy owns the solar system.
Right. He actually laughs out loud. He's a little insulted, honestly.
It would be too.
He tells the boy to ask for gold, for cattle, for entire empires. But Vanaman calmly replies with this profound philosophical truth. He says, he who cannot be satisfied with 3 steps of land will not be satisfied even with an entire world.
Talk about a mic drop.
Oh, absolutely.
But not everyone at the ritual is fooled by this humble disguise.
No, Shukracharya definitely isn't.
Right. Shukracharya, the brilliant guru and advisor of the Asuras, he sees right through the illusion. He frantically pulls Bali aside and says, beware. This is Lord Vishnu in disguise, and he is here to steal your entire empire. Do not grant this request.
He knows exactly what's happening.
I couldn't help but picture Shukracharya as, like, a frantic corporate lawyer who actually read the terms and conditions.
That's hilarious, but so accurate.
Who's screaming, don't sign the contract, you're giving away the company.
Just like a corporate lawyer, he understands the lethal fine print of cosmic law. Because Bali is suddenly faced with an impossible dilemma.
What's the choice?
Well, on one hand, he has his most trusted advisor telling him exactly how to survive, how to keep his power, his wealth, and his kingdom.
Yeah.
On the other hand, he has his sacred word, his dharma. If he says no, he keeps the universe but breaks his fundamental vow. If he says yes, he honors his word but loses absolutely everything.
Think about that for a second. Imagine standing at that altar. The person you trust most in the world is whispering in your ear that if you go through with this, your bank accounts will drain to 0, your house will be gone, your title, your status, your entire reality will evaporate.
It's terrifying.
How many of us would actually give up our life's work just to keep a promise?
Very few. Honestly, almost no one. But Bali stands firm. He chooses his word over his world.
Wow.
He tells his guru, "What is wealth if it cannot be given? What is power if it cannot uphold one's word?"
That is heavy. Now, to legally seal a vow in ancient Vedic tradition, you didn't just shake hands, you had to perform a sankalpa.
Yes, a sankalpa is a ritual resolve.
Right.
To make the promise binding across the cosmos, the giver must pour a stream of water from a vessel into the hands of the receiver. The water is the witness. It represents the flow of intention and life itself.
But Shukracharya isn't giving up that easily. He tries one last desperate move to save his king.
He does something wild here.
He really does. He magically shrinks himself down and literally climbs inside the water pot, blocking the spout from the inside so the water cannot flow. The contract can't be signed.
But Vayman knows exactly what the guru is doing.
Of course he does.
He kicks up a sharp blade of sacred darba grass. He inserts it into the spout to clear the blockage, and in doing so, he blinds Shukracharya in one eye.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the guru is forced out in pain, the water flows, and the promise is officially sealed.
I always found that detail so visceral. Like, why blind the guru? It feels almost cruel for a divine being.
It does seem harsh, but it's deeply metaphorical.
So.
Shukracharya's blindness is spiritual. He possesses immense knowledge, but his vision is clouded by attachment to material power. By blocking the water, he's trying to block the ultimate flow of supreme generosity.
I see.
The blinding of one eye symbolizes removing the dualistic worldly vision that separates the giver from the divine. You just cannot obstruct the flow of ultimate surrender.
That makes a lot of sense. So the moment that water touches Vermin's hands, the physical reality of the universe shifts. And here's where it gets really interesting.
Everything changes.
Yeah, the small, fragile boy begins to grow. He transforms into his infinite cosmic form, known as Trivikrama. He expands beyond the altar, beyond the mountains, beyond the sky itself.
It is a stunning visual of cosmic expansion. The text describes him filling the entire visual field of the universe.
Just mind-blowing.
And with his first massive step, Trivikrama covers the entire Earth. Everything Bali owned in the physical, mortal realm is gone in an instant.
Poof. Gone. And with his second step, he covers the heavens, the stars, the sun, the moon. He instantly restores Indra and the gods to their thrones.
Bali's entire cosmic expansion is rolled back in 2 strides.
Just like that. And then Trivikrama's voice echoes across all realms like a cosmic drum, and he asks Bali the devastating question. I've taken the earth in 1 step, the heavens in another. Where shall I place my 3rd?
Bali has been stripped of everything. His empire, his wealth, his status.
Everything he worked for.
Right. He is standing before a being of unfathomable power, completely alone and utterly defeated in the eyes of the world.
Yet he doesn't cower. He doesn't fight back, and he doesn't beg for mercy. The text actually notes that he smiled.
He smiled.
Yeah, he bows deeply and says, I have nothing left to give except myself. And he offers his own head for the 3rd step.
It's the absolute pinnacle of surrender. Trivikrama places his foot gently on Bali's head and pushes him down, out of the mortal realms, deep into the Netherworld.
Now, if you stop reading there, being pushed into the Netherworld sounds like a horrific punishment.
That sounds awful.
Yeah, it sounds like he was banished to some dark, fiery abyss. But the Bhagavata Purana reveals a massive, beautiful twist.
Bali descends to a realm called Sutala. And Sutala is the exact opposite of a dark prison.
Ugh.
It's described as a radiant, luminous realm with gemstone palaces, glowing rivers, and a sense of just otherworldly peace.
So it's basically another paradise.
Essentially, yes. As Bali arrives, the vast, terrifying cosmic form of Trivikrama recedes, and Vishnu appears again as the small, serene Vaman. And Vishnu tells Bali something that flips the entire narrative.
Which is?
He says, what you feel now is freedom.
Freedom.
Yes. Vishnu explains that while Bali ruled the 3 worlds, he was actually a prisoner of them. He was weighed down by the crushing burden of power, the constant anxiety of defending his territory, and the heavy armor of his own ego.
Wow, that is such a shift in perspective.
By choosing truth over possession, by giving away everything without hesitation, Bali achieves something the Devas in heaven haven't. He has mastered himself.
That is incredible. And Vishnu actually grants Bali a profound boon, right? The right to rule Sutala in absolute peace in a realm far more prosperous and spiritually rich than the heavens he just lost.
He does.
But the part that really got me, the absolute climax of this whole power dynamic, is what Vishnu does next.
Oh, this is the best part.
Right. He promises to stand at the gates of Sutala as Bali's personal guardian.
the supreme preserver of the universe, the deity who just conquered everything with 2 steps, volunteers to be a doorman for a mortal king.
It's wild. It completely subverts everything we're taught about power. We assume the one with the most control, the one sitting on the highest throne, is the most free.
But this proves that the divine honors sacrifice above dominance.
Exactly. Vishnu isn't there as a jailer. He's there out of profound love and respect. He stands guard to honor Bali and to remind the universe that true greatness lies not in conquering, but in what you are willing to let go of.
And Bali's story doesn't just stay in the ancient texts or the underworld. It echoes all the way into our present day, particularly in the folklore of southern India.
Yeah, I found this part so beautiful. Before settling in Satala, Bali asks Vishnu for one single wish, to return to the mortal world just once a year to see his people.
Right.
He says, they were never my subjects, they were my family. And Vishnu, moved by his love, grants it.
And that divine promise is a living, breathing tradition today. It's the foundation of the massive annual festival of Onam, celebrated primarily in the Indian state of Kerala.
Yeah, so looking at pictures of this, the people there create these incredibly vibrant, intricate floral designs on the ground called pukalams.
They're stunning.
They really are. They prepare massive feasts, hold boat races, and the whole atmosphere is just pure, unadulterated joy. They're literally cleaning their homes and decorating their streets to welcome King Mahabali back, to show him that his people are still happy and prosperous.
The cultural legacy is beautiful, but the sources also dive deep into the psychological legacy of the story.
Oh yeah, the metaphor. Let's get into that.
Right. There's this fascinating dialogue in the commentary traditions where a sage and his disciple discuss the deeper metaphor of Voman's 3 steps.
Okay.
The sage explains that these aren't just physical steps taken by a god, they are a metaphor for the psychological journey of human life.
So what does this all mean for us, sitting here thousands of years later?
Well, the sage breaks it down really clearly. The first step, which covered the earth, represents the physical world we build around ourselves.
Okay, so that's like our wealth, our cars, our homes, our job titles.
Exactly. It's that phase of life where we point to our possessions and say, this is who I am.
And many people spend their entire lives desperately holding on to just that first step, terrified of losing it.
Exactly. Then you have the second step, which covered the heavens. The sage explains that this symbolizes the immaterial external world.
So how the world sees us.
Right. Our reputation, our legacy, our social standing.
I was thinking about this in modern terms, and it's basically our obsession with our LinkedIn resumes, our follower counts, the awards sitting on our shelves.
It's the external validation we crave, the respect of our peers.
Yeah. And remember, Bali lost both of those steps, his wealth and his reputation, instantly.
Which brings us to the third step. The sage explains that the third step was never about land or territory. It was the ultimate moment of truth where life asks you, who are you without all of this? When Bali offered his head, he wasn't just offering his physical body, he was offering his ego, his very identity.
Facing that third step is terrifying. If you strip away my job, my bank account, my house, and what every single person thinks of me, what is actually left? Who am I?
That terror is the grip of the ego. In modern culture, we deeply misunderstand surrender.
We really do. We frame surrender as a weakness, as giving up, as losing the battle.
But the sage clarifies that in this context, surrender is absolute clarity. It's the profound realization that nothing we hold is truly ours to begin with.
Right.
Everything flows through us, not from us. Bali realized this. The universe doesn't measure us by the mountains of things we own or the empires we build, but by what we are willing to release when the time comes.
That is just so profound.
Yeah.
So we started this deep dive looking at a king who conquered the heavens, a guy who essentially won the ultimate game of cosmic monopoly.
He had it all.
And we ended in a quiet, intimate moment of absolute surrender. Vam didn't come down to diminish King Bali. He didn't come to punish him for being successful.
No, he came to complete him.
To free him from the golden cage of his own ambition.
He transformed a ruler of worlds into an eternal soul. He gave him the one thing his conquest could never buy, which is true peace.
I want to leave you with a final provocative thought from the very end of our sources. Something for you to mull over today as you go about your routine. Go for it. Imagine that in a quiet moment, when you are surrounded by the life you've built, Vaman stands before you. Not as a physical deity, but as a subtle question about your own prize, your attachment, and your possessions.
Yeah.
If life suddenly asked you to surrender the identity you've worked so hard to build, how much would you be willing to give?
It completely changes how you look at everything you've conquered, doesn't it?
It really does.
Hmm.
Next time you feel like you've won the game, ask yourself if you're ready for the third step. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.